So this is our version of kind of taking some of those principles, but we're going to balance it out a little bit more. And again, key on some of the important things. I mean, eating local, eating seasonal, eating a lot of veg is good. So we're going to keep those ones, and then we're going to just balance it out, a little bit of protein, a little bit of calcium, and keep it a nice even diet. So this is a braised chickpea with kale and porcini. Two of my favorite ingredients, kale and porcini. A lot of flavor. This is going to be a very earthy dish. So it's vegetarian, but it's almost on that meaty, savory side, which is nice. So we're going to start off, and I've been cooking some onions down. So just slow cook them, 5 minutes over medium heat. Nothing too crazy. And then we're going to add a little bit of some more aromatics. So I've got some carrots. That's going to go in there. Garlic. So garlic, just kind of cut off that rough end. A little smash with the back of the knife. And then that skin will come right off. And I don't bother cutting it up. Just give it a nice little crush and then just put it in whole. The lucky person gets the garlic.
Whoever gets the garlic has to do the dishes. That's the way it works.
Your immune system is that much stronger. So the garlic's going to go in. We're going to slowly cook that down a little bit, 2 minutes, just to heat them up. We're going to add, I think I put like exactly 4 to 5 needles of rosemary on there. I think I was trying to be a little cheeky. So you can add as many rosemary needles as you want.
Between 2 and 17.
Yes. Or it won't come out at all. Now, rosemary is beautiful. Again, we're going to keep those earthy sort of flavors. Rosemary's got that very beautiful aroma, very earthy, very woodsy. It's a woody herb, but you don't really need too much. So that's why I say only a few needles in there. And again, stir them down, heat it up. As you heat up the rosemary, the natural oils are going to start to release. So you're going to start to smell it. So once you start smelling that rosemary, then you can go ahead and start adding your other ingredients. So the chickpeas, these are dried chickpeas that I soaked overnight, and you can add them as is. You can cook them for about an hour, and then what I do is big batches. You cook them for about an hour, turn off the heat, let them cool, and freeze them. So now I've got bags of beans ready to go. Anytime I need to use them, pop them into your soups, pop them into your braised dishes.
Yeah, in a pinch you can get the canned ones just
Yes.
to have in your pantry ready to go. Try to look for the lower sodium varieties if you can. And more we're starting to see BPA-free cans. Mm-hmm. So BPA is a chemical that's associated with increasing estrogen levels. So again, may not be the best thing over time. So just something to look out for. If you can take the whole food and do it yourself, that's always your best bet.
Yeah, and like Christy said, I mean, if it means the difference between having beans and legumes and not having beans and legumes, get the canned one, rinse them well, that's fine.
The benefits are going to outweigh, the small amount of BPA.
Or you look for the BPA-free, but even like there's a little bit of a texture difference, like dried, hydrated, reconstituted beans, that's got a really nice texture, and you'll notice it today. So, if you can, do them. If not a problem. So chickpeas are going to go in. Now this is probably my favorite ingredient of all time. And I don't say that about anything.
Not allowed on the acid alkaline diet.
Not allowed.
They cut out mushrooms, which to me is a very, very sad thing. If you look on the internet and look at some amazing research studies about how powerful mushrooms can be, very, very rich in minerals. And also there's been some studies looking at animal-based studies as well as cellular studies, and mushroom extracts have been shown to prevent cancer cells from growing. So again, we need more research in humans to see how many mushrooms we need to get that effect and whether it translates, but still, not a good scientific reason to cut out a nutritious food.
So this, you can use fresh mushrooms. Great. I'm using dried mushrooms here. These are dried porcini mushrooms, just a small little package. What I like about the dried mushrooms, especially the porcini mushrooms, is the flavor that comes out of them is incredible. It has a very, very savory umami. Does everyone know the umami taste? So you have your sweet, salty, sour, I'm missing one, bitter, and umami. Umami is that savory. That's when your mouth starts to water. That's because of the umami. So porcini is very high in the glutamate and what's the M in MSG? Monosodium?
Monosodium?
Yes. So it has components in it that is very similar to MSG, but it doesn't have MSG. So it's not
The
bad
healthy,
for you.
nature's
Nature's MSG.
I don't want to say nature's MSG because it sounds like a chemical. That flavor with health benefits rather than
it's also found
overloading you with sodium.
It's also found in anchovies. Anchovies is another, it's like everyone's disgusted. It's a flavor booster, and if you use it in small amounts, you don't taste it, and you have this amazing savory component.
Your Caesar salad dressing, it's a great place for the anchovies.
So porcinis do the same thing. And all you have to do with the dried porcini is cover it with about a cup of warm water or just boiled water, and you're going to create this really nice porcini broth. We're going to use that later. And then with the porcinis, you just kind of roughly chop them. So that's what a porcini looks like. You don't always get the whole one, but so we're going to just roughly chop them up. And that's going to go in with the rest of the ingredients, with the chickpeas. Stir that up. And then we're going to add our broth. Now, when you're adding the broth, so this is just the water and the dried porcini. It creates this amazing kind of mushroom broth. Just make sure not to add the last little bit. A lot of the grit from the dried mushroom kind of settles at the bottom. It's not bad for you. It's just kind of sandy. It doesn't taste really good. So just reserve that last little bit and you can toss that. So now I have my broth in there, and it's not too much. I'm not creating a soup. So the braising liquid's in, and again, not too much liquid. I don't need too much. If you're making a soup, yeah, you can add more. You can fill it up with stock, have a beautiful soup. But just a little bit of liquid. And then one of the last ingredients is this beautiful kale. Now, I'm so happy because we actually grew this kale ourselves. This is our own grown kale from the garden. Yeah, right.
Perfect thing is, as we were saying, acid alkaline diet, because it cuts out the dairy products, cutting out, all the meat, poultry. A lot of your important sources of calcium and iron are taken out of the diet. Mm-hmm. But by choosing some leafy greens and trying to add some more of those, especially with kale, you're going to get some more iron and calcium into this recipe.
So I'm just removing just the very woody bits of the stems. So you can kind of just hold that and rip the leaves off. You can leave the stems in as well. It just takes a lot longer to cook. And they're pretty fibrous. So you're going to be chewing on them for a while. So just the really big part. The small stems is fine. But just the really big part. So the kale's going to go in, and that's pretty much it at that point. It doesn't take too long to cook, and I don't like overcooking kale anyways. It's got a really nice crunch to it. So just put the lid on top, bring it down to low, maybe leave it for a couple minutes, and then we're just going to add the final seasoning. So I like to add a little bit of citrus, so a little bit of lemon juice. Goes really, really well with the kale. You don't need too much.
Someone was asking me about this diet, and they were saying, well, lemon juice, that has to be on the acidic side, so no lemon, but the diet says that lemon, limes as well, are on the alkaline side once they're in your body. But again, your digestive system, your stomach is already an acidic environment to help break down all of the food that you take in. Mm-hmm. So everything turns into acid in your stomach, and then your body, by the time these nutrients get into your blood, like I said, it's within a very, very small range that can't be affected by what you eat.
Now the last little part, and this may seem a little odd, but I'm actually going to add a good spoonful of yogurt to it. Now this is going to create a really nice, creamy, kind of brothy dressing. It works really, really well. I know it does seem odd. If you are going to use it, you don't have to use it, but if you are going to use it, try to get the fuller fat one. The reason I say that is because it's hot. If you use the no fat, sometimes it breaks apart and curdles on you. If you're trying to keep it a little leaner, then you don't have to add it, or just add a little bit.
Can you add it at the end?
You can add it right at the end as well. Yeah, just as a topping. But just even just a little spoonful, and just kind of stir it through with the broth. And it just comes together really, really, really nice.
A lot of these diets cut out the dairy, but yogurt in particular has so many health benefits. It's a probiotic, so the healthy bacteria that you need in your digestive tract. Especially if you've gone through a dosage of antibiotics, you want to make sure that you repopulate some of that healthy bacteria that keeps your immune system strong. So in a lot of hospitals, they actually take yogurt and use it as a medicine and prescribe it to try to up that healthy bacteria. You can also get, probiotics as a supplement as well, but we always like to go for the whole food so that you can get some of the nutrients along with it.
So that's
Helpful.
it. Very, very simple. And you can see that broth. It has this really nice kind of creamy beige look to it from the yogurt. And, finish it with a little bit of parsley on top. It's a really, really nice side dish.
Delicious, healthy vegetarian protein.
Yeah.